and welcome to Temple of Divine. My name is High Priestess Makita, and I'm your guide here to help you to discover, celebrate, and explore the divine in you. We are broadcasting live on Wjzz Cool Tv, the coolest station on the world, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Make sure to share, like, comment, subscribe, and even call in at 313-355-6018 as we go through the show, because I know you are going to want to tap into this knowledge. We have with us today Dr. Hasada Aki. She is going to break it down and help you to find your truth, walk in your truth, and thrive in life, as we know that we can do. So get excited, get excited. This woman is a wealth of knowledge. Before the show started, she was breaking stuff down to me, and I'm just sitting here like with my pen, like, tell me more. So get ready, get ready, get ready. So Dr. Asada, why don't we start with you just kind of telling us about kind of your journey and how you got to where you are today.
Woo! How I got to where I am today is a traumatic childhood.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And being raised without my parents. My mother, she was on drugs. And my father went to prison when I was 2 months old. Okay. And so growing up with other family members and going through different traumatic situations and wanting to know more. There's more than this sadness. There's more than this darkness. And so what I would do would mask myself and always be the best version of what I was, and I didn't know what that meant at the time. But at the time, it meant making you laugh. It meant making sure that you weren't sad, because I knew the sadness I was going through, and I didn't want none of my friends to feel that. So I always made people laugh. Some people say I'm a comedian, or I could be a comedian, but no, that's just a part of my divine humor, and that's to lift you, because that's part of what my gift is to lift. So in that, more sadness and more sadness came. Dad's in prison. My mother was, like I said, she was on drugs, and so I was being raised in family, which is blood family. Okay, they can be the worst ones. But it's not so much, now that I know, it's not so much of worse ones, it's just the best lessons to get you to you. So in that, I just knew that it had to be more. And my grandma, may she rest in power, she passed in May, but she was always going to church. So I knew about church, but then going to church, it was like, wait a minute. The preacher is preaching this, but then the congregation, they gossiping and they hating on each other. And so when the mother's boards people start hating on each other, I'm like, well, where is the sacredness, right? And so when you're finding out that you can't really fully talk to a pastor, it's not that I didn't try, but I tried, but the molestation, the response to that was like, you're a pastor, and her comment was, don't let no man touch you again. I was a child in elementary. So you're wondering, like, I didn't let him touch me in the first place.
You a child. How you let?
Right. So that, and then of course I love my grandmother. She's with us right now, and she knows how she is or was in flesh, but she was like a hypocrite, and her whole thing was talking about the people. Oh, so and so think they all this and all. I'm thinking, like, hey, then we just leave church, quick to call somebody. And the cussing and all of that. Now, I'm not a stranger to cussing, but that's not the thing. When you, but when you're being raised to believe a certain thing, and then you see another thing, and then once I saw that, okay, the hypocrisy of my grandmother, then I started seeing the hypocrisy going on in the church. I said, I'm gonna find God myself, not knowing what that meant, but the God as I am now, it knew, right? So it took years, but my dad being in prison, being moved to a Michigan or Detroit prison on Ryan Road, he had started studying Siddha Yoga. He started studying Sanskrit, which is Indian speaking languages. that taught different spiritual lessons, and they sent it. It was like a ministry to the prisoners, right?
Okay.
So he would share those with me to help me on my path, because I would go visit and I'm just crying, just like, why nobody will love me, you know. So it was also
daddies can be daddy from anywhere,
and also it was finding love. You know, I got here because I wanted love. You think it's through man, because dad is not there, trying to have a bunch of friends because you're trying to feel that belongingness, you know, and that love, and that I'm there, that support.
Right.
Well, needless to say, I kept on searching, because, you know, I was finding that it's not that I didn't meet good friends, but it didn't matter, because I had to find me. So my dad started teaching me and sharing with me how to find me, teaching me that I am that all that is.
Awesome.
So I am that I am, and all that I am. So that great I am is no different than what I took from the Bible, what they taught, what they wasn't teaching in the pulpit, from the pulpit, was that we are gods. Ye are little gods. But little God means that you are no different than your offspring of your parent, but you're still one with that. So that started me. He would say, you see that chair over there? It was an idea first. It had to start from thought. Everything starts from thought. So from my thought, I wanted to know, who was I? What is this that everyone says, you know, you powerful? What does that mean?
Right.
You know, you're so divine. What does that mean? And then when I would speak about God, they would say, what church you go to? I said, right in here.
Right.
The church is my ball. Right. No, so I worked on cleaning up my spots and my blemishes. You know, Jesus coming back for a church without a spot or a blemish. That means that love is returning to where there's no spots and no blemishes. Those spots and those blemishes was me healing. The spots was what hurt me, what I felt betrayed me, that was within my own emotions, that scarred me mentally, and in my womb. We carry, especially as women, we don't just carry babies in our womb, we carry everything here. It's the womb of love. This is when life comes forth, right? So I had to get back to that. So part of the journey was finding that through pain, through breakups, and relationships that I thought was going to be something, you know, especially with men. That was the kicker. But it wasn't so much about men in an adult relationship. It was getting back to the first man, my dad. He wasn't there. So I was searching for him. So I'm searching for him, was searching for him, but I'm also remembering the molestation, right? Because you're a child, you don't really get how it affects you. You don't realize that that's some attention. You feel me?
Right.
So you're looking for that attention unconsciously. That's when you have the sexual stuff that come in. You're screwing this one and you're screwing that. It's not so much that you a hoe. Get out of here. What the hell is a hoe but a tool that helps your garden, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It was knowing that that's the only thing that you're from, your body mind. So we have minds within a mind. You have your higher mind, you have your body mind, you have your soul mind.
Right.
You have these minds.
Right.
And the flesh mind remembers that tragedy, but it also remembers that touch. That is affection to the body mind.
Right.
But we know that it came through, say, the sexual molestation. So that's where you seek it or feel that you're going to get it from. So trying to figure out what that was about, going through that experience, trying to find out why am I so much love and I can be so forgiving and have compassion, but people can still just shit on me. How can you keep rejecting my love, but I'm just trying to give it to you? And then you not even giving it back, but I'm still trying to give it, right? So those aches, those heartaches, you know, all of those slaps in the face, all of those different things that push me, designed, according to my soul contract, to push me away so that I can find myself. Someone told me that you will find your light in the darkness. So come to find out, I found the light of the joy and the greatness and the love that I am through all the dark crap that I've been through.
Right.
Because I had to come through it to get to my light. That's part of the healing.
Wow.
So I started writing.
Okay.
That helped me get to where I'm at today. Because
Like journaling?
No, I wrote
No writing?
books.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
They're on the shelf until I find the right person to help me publish them. But anyway, I wrote this. I had got into it with family because family was the root of a lot of the tragedy and the trauma and the drama and all of that stuff that I wasn't letting go. And like I said, they could be your family could be your greatest lessons because of how they were. I knew doggone well nobody in the streets was gonna have any kind of stepping like they was stepping on my toes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I had that cool, and I was getting more love from all that was outside of me and outside of my bloodline than I was from my own. So there was this big blow up. No need to get into it what it was about, and I realized I didn't have not no man, no woman to ever have my back. And so I wrote a book called A Lack a Daddy's Soul, right? And in this, I was able to, because it was only at that moment of that big blow up that I realized, first of all, I don't like blowing up. I'm a lioness and a goddess, and that fire, I don't like to release that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the one that's like, yeah, come mess with me. I don't like to go there because if I go there, it takes too long for me to get back. And plus, you have taken me way out of who I really want to be. So I realized that I don't want to be like that. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to hate this person. I don't want to resent this person. I don't want to be resentful. I don't want any of that. What do I do? So I started writing about what exactly was going on. And I realized a lot of my hurt and my pain was because I still, it's like being born in a family, but just on an island and there's nobody. But you got so much around you, but you're still in that space alone. That was a big old problem. How can you be in a family or have family
and
still be alone?
Or be married and still be alone.
But then what helped me spiritually was realizing the energy. Energy. That is the determination as to whether you be a part or not a part, having access or not having access. So I started setting new boundaries or boundaries that I didn't know that I could set. Because family, right? Everybody be clicking on that family. Some people got great families. Awesome. But there's some people who are born in families to realize that you must understand that family is as family does. What that means is love does. Right? So knowing that they never had my back, they never supported my feelings, nobody ever gave a care. Everybody only cared about the molester, all about what he felt, making him comfortable, bump me. And so I just dismissed everybody for a long time. So that started me taking spiritual retreats around Kwanzaa. I shut down the phone, the TV, and everything, and I don't talk to nobody because I found that's the best way to find you, even deeper, right? So all of this has come from tragedy after tragedy and how to deal with the old past, right? Because the past keeps coming until you deal with it, right? It's not going to go away. We become adults and we can push it away. But just like what was his name on the Charlie Brown with the dirt that follow him? I forgot his name. Linus. That's not. I said it before. Somebody laughed at me like that ain't Linus.
Pigpen.
Yeah, there we go.
Pigpen.
That's how your trauma, your wounds, your hurt follow you. That's your past following you, and you wonder why you turn around and you're sneezing, why you're allergic to stuff. Why you got this stuff? Because it's things that just the dust is still surrounding you because you got to dust and cleanse and clear. And it takes silence, time to yourself, quietness. Just shut off the world so that you can see how are you making decisions based on the stuff that you've been through. That's part of being accountable. That's part of owning your truth or finding your truth. What is the truth of this that I'm keep dealing with? Because even if you still walking in the adulthood and the dust and you like, I don't care about that dust, that's behind me, that's the dust behind me, wash the dust. You still have to understand that those things are causing you to make decisions and choices in your life now. And you don't understand why this relationship doesn't work out, why I don't have a good friendship with this person. And it's not just with males, right? It's not just the opposite sex thing. It could be a parental thing. Why I don't have relationships with girlfriends? Because maybe you had a traumatic relationship with your mother. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the women in your family was not that stronghold that you felt they should have been. So you don't really trust women. So now you're walking around here and everybody's a bitch.
Okay.
That bitch looking at. You know what I'm saying? You go through that and and we call it, oh, that's a strong black woman. No, it's not. It's a wounded black woman. That's what it is. Because femininity is soft. It's nurturing. It's love. So it's supposed to come out that way.
Right.
And even when we want to give it firm, to be that so-called bad bitch, it still need to come out like a goddess. And they still should be able to feel through the tones and the vibrations of the strength of it and the firmness of it without being offensive in character and nature. A lot of people, I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't, even if I am single, but I realize I'm single because I had my spirit guides help me by breaking up relationships abruptly and ending them. Got to take a break.
Yes. Okay.
Oh.
I don't want to interrupt. I'm so engrossed that I don't even want to stop. But you are watching Temple of Divine. We're on Wjzz Cool TV. We're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and other top social media stations. Make sure to click like, share, subscribe, and call in. Call in at 313-355-6018 if you have questions, because there is so much power and so much value just in the story. When you listen to other people's stories and what they go through, it helps you to make sense out of your life. Because here, all I asked the question about was like, hey, how'd you get where you are today? Well, that's what it's like to find your truth, that journey of breaking away those layers. But we are here, so definitely make sure every Friday at 2 p.m. to jump on in here on Temple of Divine, where we help you to discover, celebrate, and explore the divine in you. So, back to.
All right, let me pick up my last word. What was
I don't know. Powerful.
There we go. So, decisions and choices. So part of this is still just keep following. Just keep following. It's about how you start finding your truth. A lot of it, like I said, it comes from the stuff that you have been through, knowing what you want to go through or experience and what you don't want to experience. Where's your and where's your That helps you find your truth. So when you're wondering, like, okay, I keep ending up in the same relationship, or I keep attracting these same kind of friends, then you have to think about, what am I thinking and feeling, even though I don't know. Because the thoughts that we think and the things that we feel, those two in itself, those are your cause and effect. You understand? So that is what you manifest. So it's like understanding that we keep saying, I'm tired of this. I don't want this. I don't want to do that. I'm tired of struggling. I'm tired of not having somebody. I'm tired of people just doing this to me. So what you have to do is change your language so that you can change your thoughts, so you can change your emotion. And you do that by only speaking and thinking the things that you do want. Because you already made it clear to the universe what you don't want, right? But the more you impress that upon the universe, that's the more the universe only knows to manifest from your own power, from your own thoughts. So why not give the universe what you want versus keep complaining about what you don't want? So partially knowing that and moving along and finding that silence is good, acknowledging that, oh Lord have mercy, I'm making these decisions based on, because my daddy wasn't there, so I'm searching for this here. Well, I don't need to search for that no more. Because you have to keep it real with yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, I may be an adult, but and yes, this, and I'm making decisions based on past hurts. You have to be accountable for that, because that comes from within you. Because those people, that person has gone on and they're living happy, or so-called happy, but you're the one that's still dangling with that. You know what I'm saying? And you're still bringing that, repeating that in different ways, in different relationships, because you have not forgiven, you have not released totally and allowed yourself to be healed and cleansed from that experience. Because we always have a choice in everything we experience. Okay? I used to call it living by fault or default. By fault is me making decisions after being 18 years old. Before 18 years old, it was default because I was born into that. I chose to be born in that family. I chose my parents, not really truly understanding their choices and what they came here to learn, which still affected me, but not being soulfully in that knowing.
Okay.
Anyway, I always get off track because I be going here and going there.
That's
and
okay,
I'm
because
trying
that's
to
the way life. That's the way life is, though, right? It's like that's the journey. You're weaving in and out, you bobbing and weaving and adjusting, and that's just life.
Right.
Well, yeah.
So it was kind of like understanding what was my fault. You know, I know what was in the default. It was being raised without my parents, being raised, because I was always a thick girl. Nah, I love it, right? Love it, love it, love it. But before, they made it seem like it was bad. You know, being heavy set or being fat is ugly and is undesirable and all of these things, right? I had to go through all of that. So yeah, okay, but how do you feel about you? It gets you down to your truth. What do you love? What do you like? What do you want to experience? That allows you to be in full control, to know exactly what you are getting yourself in consciously.
Right. Whatever you choose to do, you're choosing to do.
What are you choosing consciously? Because unconsciously, it's about those things that we don't speak aloud, but they're still being spoken. See, you just don't understand the dopeness of yourself, right? You're still communicating even when you sleep.
Right.
You communicate when you're not verbalizing it, right? There's still constant communication because spirit does not sleep nor die. So there's no death. So
break it down.
Yeah. So
are you getting this? Call in. You know you have questions. 313-355-6018. Get your chance to ask questions. Okay.
So as you continue, so for me, again, getting here was all about peeling back the layers based on what did I contribute. What did I contribute? You know, you meet somebody, they fine, but you ain't really thinking about, are they really going to give you what you're looking for, or what you want to experience? Let me use that terminology. Experience. What do you want to experience from a man? If you first see what he looked like and what he's driving, and he allow that to be how he get you, then know that that's what you want to experience. Don't get mad when he becomes something different, because you didn't allow yourself to get to that part. You didn't say, yeah, you look good, but so do I. I know you got a car, but I do too. It's an old too, but that's all right though. I got my own. What else? You know what I'm saying? It's like, what else do we have? What else do you have? How can you stimulate my mind? How can you help me heal? You know, you don't want nobody to help keep adding wounds to your wounds. You want to experience someone, male or female. Males have wounds too, honey. Why do you think they keep killing us, right? Because their emotions come out different. We might crack a windshield, slice a tire, right? But they gonna kill you. Why? Because emotions. But they say women are so emotional. Women are emotional creatures. Yeah, that's because we all come from the same thing, emotions. We come from feeling. It's a difference. I'm sorry.
So how much does, so when you're talking about when you're meeting that person, so how much does the energy of the people they're around like come into play with the dynamic when you're interacting with another person? Like you meet somebody, you talk about the car, you talk about how they look, but also how important is like the history of their past relationships? Because aren't you combining with them in their energy? Aren't you two energy
but
paths?
then it's on the individual again. What do you want to experience from the opposite sex or the same sex relationship? What is that? And you have to give yourself time in that to see if there is a clicking, right? We have to learn to silence the flesh mind, the one that says, you know, we have to. And because ultimately, yes, we want those material things that can be provided because we want those things coming from ourselves to give to ourselves. But what is your ultimate joy that you want to experience having a companion? What is it? Is it just to have someone to help you pay your bills? To lay the pipe? or to ride you on, you know, downtown, and you know, or do you want someone that is where you are and can help you heal from where you are without judging you, without making you feel less than, without trying to manipulate you to transform you into what they feel they can make you become because of where your state of beingness is? Or do you know, so it depends on what you want to experience, and you have to keep it real. You know, if a lot of people like, well, I want somebody to help me with my bills, and they get that person that can be financially stable, but then they find themselves still unhappy because there's other parts that they didn't realize that needs to be fed. So you have to like take that time to finding your truth is really some on the mountain by yourself type ish. You know, it's not about going to gatherings all the time. Allow yourself to go into your cabin in the woods and sit with you. Because when you sit with you, you're sitting with all of your spirit guides. That includes your ancestors, from celestial to earthly ancestors, your galactic family, your star seed family. And those are things or spirit guides and light beings that you don't even realize is what keeps you moving.
Now, Dr. Asada, okay, I gotta ask this question. So, think of the person, this is me before I discover and start having spiritual awakening. You're that person, you're going to church every Sunday, you know church is not working, you're out here listening, you're watching WJZZ, and you see Dr. Asada here, and you're just like, I don't know what she's talking about. Why, how do you make that journey? What is the first step that person takes to say, okay, I hear what you're talking about, I don't know nothing about no spirit guides and all that kind of stuff, but how do I get to where you are? Like what is the thing they need to do? When you say get to yourself, is it you need to meditate? You need to just sit? Is it as simple as just sitting quietly? Like what, practically can they do to kind of hop on the path to get to where they can start peeling away all those layers?
Silence, of course, yes, through meditation. Doing things that you love to do. Okay. Because doing things that you like, art, creative things.
Art, okay.
Whether you like to sing, cleaning out the home. Before you know it, you'll be in a meditative state, and you allow yourself to feel things. How many people, even with you, how many have you lost someone, but you still know that when you're in that down moment, you feel that presence of that person, like your grandma, your granddad?
You know what? Every year, okay, I'm digressing, but my grandmother and I used to alternate cakes, like on holidays. So she would make the Italian cream cake, and I would make the German sweet chocolate cake. When she, and so when she passed, she left like little recipe cards. You couldn't really read, old school. It's like a bit of this, a sprinkle of that. Hey, we have a caller. Oh. Yes, caller. Hello, welcome.
Hello. How are you, Crystal? How are you, Dr. Asada Haki?
Hello.
How are you, beautiful ladies, today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you for asking.
So, do you have a question or a comment for us today?
I have a well. First of all, Crystal, you kind of stole my question a little bit. I was going to ask Dr. Haki how one would get started on the path, but I also wanted to comment and say that first of all, it's great, wonderful interview, wonderful information, and I just kind of wanted to give a slight testimony. I am a little biased. Asada is my sister for a very, very long time. We are 30 years in. And I just wanted to say, just communicate how she has helped me in ways that I really can't describe and put into words, with self-discovery, walking in my truth, my confidence, my spirituality, just all around. If you want to have somebody in your life that will uplift you, someone who will teach you, someone who will hold your hand while they're guiding you and showing you different things, she has been all of those things to me. And I just hope that your listeners are just really absorbing what she's saying and just put it into action in your life. I promise you will not regret it.
Thank you. I love you. And I'll be shopping.
Love you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Because people need to understand that there's help. You're not alone. No one is ever alone. So if you're watching this right now and you have a question or a comment, go ahead and ask it. There's no accidents. There's a reason why you're watching. There's a reason why, Dr. Asada is here. There's a reason why this caller is felt filled enough to call and share the experiences she's had here. So if you're looking at this and you're like, oh no, I'm going to ask a question, just go ahead and call 313-355-6018, and we are here for you.
And before I continue on, like I say to my students in theater.
Absolutely. Thank you, lovely ladies. I will talk to you all later. Have a great rest of the show. I will continue to listen in.
Thank you.
There are no wrong answers. There's just isness. And what is it that you want to know? Okay? So,
we should do a station break right here.
Okay.
So you're watching Temple of Divine, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and other top social media stations. Make sure to click like, share, comment, and call in if you have questions, and we would love to hear from you. So we are here every Friday at 2 p.m. on Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. We're here with Dr. Asada Aki, breaking it down for us on that journey and finding your truth and walking in your truth. And we're learning so much. So, Dr. Asada, why don't you go ahead and let's see where we at. Where we at?
What happened to the grandma cake? She was trying to get some.
Oh, grandma cake. I forgot. Oh. So it took me like 3 years to get it. Like every holiday, I would have to, I have to mix certain things and be like, can of coconut. I'm like, where do I get a can of coconut from? Well, how do I make this and that? But every year now, what I do, before I make that cake, I go, Grandma, come on and help me make this cake. And the cake it is like the best cake ever. It is, people like asking me, well, how can I get that cake? I was like, you can't make it like me because Grandma helps me. She tells me what to do when I make that cake. So she is always there with me.
That is what people need to realize that are awakening, that are in the churches or in religious organizations, period. When you find yourself awakening and something is just like it's like your ancestors, your spirit guides, is also like Jesus. How could word be made flesh, but we're flesh too, but we not be that same word, right? You have to go back to the word, but ask yourself, what is the word that helps me now? And the words that help me, or scriptures that help me, were those things. Like Jesus was like me and Jesus, that's one of my ascended masters that walked with me as a spirit guide. And when I say that, it's no difference than call on Jesus. Well, yeah, I did. But then Jesus came through in another way because Jesus knew what I was and what I came here to uncover and discover about myself. That I too, Jesus says, what you are, I am. I said, well, what Jesus, they said in the church that's blasphemy. No, it's blasphemy when you think you less than. It's blasphemy or sinful when you deny you.
Yes.
You are your divine self. I was created in the image and the likeness of God. How are you less than that?
Right. I was like, it's like,
it
boggles my mind. It's like it's right there written. Yeah. But how many people, like, you don't really hear it that much?
It depends
and then
on
people don't really get it.
How much it's actually demonstrated. It has to be something demonstrated. A demonstration of power is through your faith, through you studying self thy approved, to be approved. You know what I'm saying? And it says study yourself to be approved by God. Well, that God is you, right? So not to have gotten off, I kind of did, but just like what you did with Grandma, those are ancestors. Those are your spirit guides. Those are the ones that says go left, and you're wondering why you're turning left, and come to find out it was an accident. They tried to prevent you from doing something. What about when you calling on your mom, if your mom have passed, if your dad, whoever has passed, and you call on all of a sudden everything is okay? How do you think that happened? Because they're there with you, lifting you. How about when you're in a moment of downness, sadness, and all of a sudden you're like, I just miss my grandma, and all of a sudden your heart started being filled because you started doing something that they do.
Yeah.
What I did, this is what my grandmother told me, because I was torn, didn't realize how torn, but I was torn for a different reason, because I understand. It was her time. So what I started doing was filling my home with flowers and plants. Because that's what Grandma did.
I did that too.
You know, my grandmother had me buy a plant that looked like it was like ready for the grave, right? Just ready for the grave. I said, Grandma, she said, I'm going to show you. That's how she sounded when she was in the body. She said, I'm going to show you how to bring it back to life. I said, okay. That flower is blossoming, and the brown parts that I, peeled off and everything is because she's showing me. Every time I cry, she said, and I can feel her pulling my chin up and kissing my forehead. You know what I'm saying? So those are your spirit guides, right? So you don't have to go as deep as I, because that's a journey in itself. But you can go to the layers of who is with you that you knew. And if that starts with your blood relatives that have passed on a transition, then you start with them. They're there to help you. This is what I did to find, because I would test it. I would study, but I said, how I know this is true? So it was like, ask your spirit guides, ask your team, ask your angels to help you by saying, before you on your way somewhere where it's always crowded and you can't find a parking space, ask your team before you leave the house. Lead me to a space that's close to blah, blah, blah. And I tell you, may go and say, dang, but go back around. So what I started doing was like, well, I don't see nothing. It's like, well, shit, and I started tuning into my heart. You got to hear from here. It's not like you're talking to me. It's going to come from within. And then it's going to sound like you're hearing it outside of yourself. And it's going to say, go around. Now turn here. And I would do that, especially going to Wayne State, because it was like, it was always packed down there. So that's how you connect with your guides and your angels. And these are angels and guides that are with you from past lives. Because a lot of stuff that we deal with is from lives before now, but we're not going to go there. That's another show. So all of these things is part of finding your truth. Walking in your truth, in short, is learning that once you come to know who you are and what hurts you and what you don't want to experience, what you don't want to feel anymore, because you can say, I'm not experiencing that anymore. If you do things that hurt me and upset me, then I guess what? We can't be cool. That's a boundary. No access for you. You have to learn how to set boundaries and not have everybody have access to you, especially if you have people that only want to call, oh, my bills, my this, well, he always this and that. Well, I told such and such. You got all of this. That's only energy being spit into your face, spit into your own spirit, because you go home, you might be fine, then you start complaining and worrying about your own bills and where's my man? He hasn't been calling you coming in late, It's like a seed. Right. It's like, it's things that are projected onto you. So allow yourself to be surrounded in light and in love and conversations that are present. And present mean now, meaning what are you doing now that is good? And even if something is not so good, then guess what? Change it. Because you can create your reality at every moment that you choose to, because it's based on what you want, right? All right. So you surround yourself with positivity. Only allow people to call you that want to talk positive, people that's going somewhere. Like Sharnita that called me. She was on your show. She was the one with the little toys and everything.
Oh, right. So, I remember that show.
It's like we talk about the things that we want to do, but we not just talk about what we want to do. We talk about what we did to start moving that process, right? Because in order to get a job, you got to fill out an application. But before you can get to an application, you got to find out who's hiring, right? So you got to understand you're hungry, right? So you can't just go in there. You can pick up an apple, but at the same time, if you want to eat a meal, you still got to prepare that meal. First, you got to say, what do I want to eat? Then it's like, that sounds good. All right, so I'm going to do this. And you got to start prepping. And then you got to prepare. And then you still got to cook it. And then you eat it.
Right. There's work to do.
Life is, you are a process. And in order to get to you and in order to enjoy the meal of yourself, you have to make sure that everybody don't have access to your kitchen.
All right, talk now.
Okay? Everybody can't walk up in your living room and sit on your couch,
That's
right?
a good point.
Because guess what? Have you ever, I ain't trying to be nasty, but people who might have a little smell, but the booties leave smells on couches. You know what I'm saying? They leave smells. So you got to be careful what kind of scent you want left up in your house, right? So that's like, and all that means is, what energy do I want that's my energy? You wonder why people always got to have people around them, because they can't deal with the silence and the quietness, because they can't deal with them. They can't deal with the emotional stuff because it's too hard. But guess what? The only way you gonna get there is to get started on you. Okay? So that's part of it, and that's how I walk in my truth, by making sure that it works for me. Do you, boo, and I'm gonna do me. The issue becomes when you try to make me feel like what you do I should be doing, and if I don't do that, that means that I ain't gonna make it, I ain't nothing, I ain't gonna be successful, or I ain't gorgeous if I'm not wearing makeup all the time, wearing tall heels. Why? Sometimes some of them beauties is hurtful for women. So I'm gonna wear some flats and a beautiful dress, right? Because it makes me feel good with me. I have to always be comfortable no matter where I'm at. I told a person, she was like, well, how do I do that? That's hard. I'm trying to get there. I said, listen, all you have to do is if they keep trying to come at you, limit your access to them, which means don't go around them. People, I want to see my family, but every time you go over there, you leave pissed off. Somebody that got mad, or you know what I'm saying. But it's like, why, when you already know, why go to hell when you know what's going on in hell, right? It's like going into the sauna when you know it's hot and you don't like to be hot,
right?
Why would you do it then? So you have to keep it right. But and so you have to accept that. It's like, this is my family, so this is what I have to endure. But don't complain about it. Either you're going to be there or you're not going to be there. But either way, you're going to have to find some peace and joy in whatever it is, whether it's shit or sugar. You have to find peace in it. But either way, you'll find you in it, and you mostly find what you want to be. Some people want to be that. You know, they're comfortable in that downness or that energy. You know what I'm saying? That makes them feel comfortable. And that's why they can't deal with people of higher minds or people who speak on higher levels. You know what I'm saying? Because they can't. That's too high for them to understand. That's like trying to look up somebody in your neck. You're trying to keep it.
Right.
Ooh, Lord.
Right.
That's what happens with the dense energy and light versus the light and the high vibrations and frequencies. It can't do that. So you have to, make sure that your truth is, I like to be in light. I like to laugh. I like to love. I like to be loved on. When you get off the fence of hanging in the dents or hanging in the light and choose, you will find you. Even if you was in the darkness, it's you. It's your truth. If your truth is I party, live in that and don't justify it. And don't let nobody make you feel anything less than what you feel when you go into these parties, when you shooting these dice, and understand there's consequences. But then what kind of consequence do you want? I put out what I want to receive. It's no different than speaking the things that I want and allowing that to show up. So all of it works because you're the power source. You're the creator. You're one with it. So all things happen from within first, and then it comes out. So if you're wondering why your world is the way it is, you have to ask yourself and check your house. Is your house organized? Is your thought? That means your thoughts good. You're scrambled up in here. You're confused in here, and so it's got all of this dark smoke down here. Sit down with yourself, and you say, "Well, why do I do that?" Ask yourself, "Why do I do that?" And yourself will say, "Oh, remember when you did this and this, or remember when this happened?" Like, dang, that did happen. And once you realize and remember why, and you acknowledge that, pluck it. I don't need to do that anymore, especially if it's something from the childhood or a past relationship. Oh, I'm not with that person anymore, so I haven't shot. Because that keeps you from attracting the same stuff by asking, seeking, and finding the root, plucking the root, and realizing it no longer serves you. So things that don't serve you, you have to let them go. And that's setting boundaries. And like I said, access. That thing is big for me. Access. I was telling one of my Reiki clients, I do Reiki as well, and I told her, we was talking about access. Do everybody have access to your bank account?
Nope.
So should everybody have access to your energy? Because your energy is like your money.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Very valuable. It's important to you because you know what you got to do with it, right? And you know what it does for you. So how important is your bank account if you don't want to use the word energy? So bring those together and allow yourself to really ask you and be quiet. Sit with you. Go by the water. Sit in your backyard. Sit on your porch. Sit next to a plant and just be still. Ask a question and let it come to you. It might come in a dream, but it's going to come because you are looking for you.
That's an interesting concept. That's a concept that I never, in like, I don't know, 15, 20 years of church, I never really had that connection of the power of me. Like it always was, I always felt like my experience was, feeling like there were things I shouldn't do. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. You're going to go to hell if you do this, you're going to go to hell if you do that. And so it's like, how do you help people to do that? To say, okay, I'm just gonna do what I want to do. Forget you, because inside there's still like that belief that's in the back of your mind. Maybe there's a little guilt. Maybe there's a little shame. Maybe there's a little. Is there something else they can do? Like you mentioned, you do the Reiki healing, and there's different crystals that we can have access to. What else can we do when we're facing that point where we want to change, to help us to kind of get rid of those energies?
The more you tune into yourself, it'll start helping you break them yourself. Mm-hmm. Me individually cannot tell you how you could do it, but mm-hmm. tell you to sit with you, to get to know you, mm-hmm. because it is your truth that dissolves the old beliefs. Mm-hmm. It is whatever truth comes to be your truth is what negates and dissolves and dismisses what is no longer a belief to you. So you're coming up in the church, and if you do this, if you do that, you're going to go to hell. First, you got to realize, what is hell?
That's a good question.
Is that really, is it, because right now, I look at the news, this is in hell. Right? So first you got to establish, when you're coming through that, what is that? And the more you question you, not nothing outside of you, you mm-hmm. question yourself. Well, what does that mean? And then you have to understand that you are one with the Creator. Mm-hmm. So you're here, you're a spiritual being having a human being experience, which means that you are God expressing itself as Crystal, Sada, my friend Pam, my sister Nita, my cousins, whoever you are, you're an expression of God. And God wanted to come here and say, this is the soul I want to be. Let me see how it is to be this, to do mm-hmm. that. Mm-hmm. Whereas you're here, me, I'm an actress, right? There are some people who are here just to be a secretaries, right? But that's the God in them and how they want to express. And they feel like their mm-hmm. presence is best there. Mm-hmm. Am I making sense mm-hmm. to you? Am I helping mm-hmm. a little bit? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's all about how the more of you find, the less falseness, the more falseness falls off. Mm-hmm. So more truth of you, and the less of the falseness. It's like, there's nothing wrong with going to church if church is feeding your soul. Mm-hmm. But if church is there so you can feed it, then you got to think about that. When you go sit up in a church and you go home and there's no change in your spiritualness, your feelings and your thoughts are just still kind of like in this haze or this fog, well, you're not being properly fed. You need to feed your soul. Or mm-hmm. if they can't do it like I did, right. find your own path. Read whatever it is that come to you. Mm-hmm. Allow yourself to be drawn to those things, and don't feel guilty. Mm-hmm. Don't regret anything. That's one thing my dad taught me. Mm-hmm. He says that the best way to be in your truth is make sure that when you make a decision, that there won't be no guilt and you won't regret it.
No guilt, no regret. Okay.
And if you know that you won't regret it and you won't feel guilty, do it. Because usually when you're going to regret it or feel guilty, then it's something that is just not right. That's toward the other person, or that's going to be detrimental to yourself. That is the only time when it's not something you're supposed to do, when it's detrimental to self or others, mm-hmm. not because of what somebody said. You have to realize, am I being me or am I being a puppet? Right. You choose what you want to be. Right. You want a master, or you want to be your own master.
Good point. Oh, okay.
Oh, whoa, all right.
I'm telling you, I am really enjoying this feeding. I'm gonna call this feeding that we're getting today. So I'm all off on my station IDs, but you are watching Temple of Divine, broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and other top social media stations. And we are live here on Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and call in. You still have a few minutes at 313-355-6018 if you have a question for Dr. Sada Hakeem. So tell us about your Sister Love. We kind of missed our commercials here, but tell us about what you're doing with that.
I am Sister Love Outreach Services, and I had brought her into play about 2012, and it took until 2016 to actually start DBA, doing business as, mm-hmm. and the services is me. Okay. I'm the business, I'm the service, and the services are everything that I am.
Okay.
So everything that I am, I'm an actress, I'm I'm a theater teaching artist. I am also a time slip facilitator, and that is someone. Time slip facilitator.
Okay, what's that about?
That is someone who facilitates creative storytelling with those with Alzheimer's and dementia.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So I do that as well.
Okay.
I also do spiritual healing work. So, of course, I'm a Reiki practitioner, and I also am a ordained minister. I marry people. I did my own grandmother's eulogy.
Okay.
I haven't done baptisms yet, but I'm open to that. I am a spiritual coach, a spiritual counselor as well. So it's like, I do a lot of things, right?
So that's something someone could do. So again, like that person is sitting there, you know, and they're not being fed. That's something they could do. They could reach out to Dr. Asada and say, Dr. Asada, okay, I've been going to church for 20 years, and I just really don't feel that, you know, spiritually I'm growing, and I don't want to feel like I want to do the right thing. Can you help me? Is that so we come to you, and like what's that experience like? Like, is it how does that work?
Everybody don't come to me. Because I'm one that the universe will send you when you're ready. Because a lot of people, when they're awakening or they're coming into themselves and they're not sure, they still battle with the old beliefs. And that pulls them more to that side of the spectrum versus coming over here. And me, I'm like, you ready? You ready to do the work? You ready to get to know who you are and be the goddess or god that you are? then you come, because then you're ready to do the work. You're ready to accept the responsibility of choices that you made, that you participated in. You know what I'm saying? Because even if things got rough, but at the beginning, before it got rough, did you have a sign? Did you see that red flag that you ignored? You know what I'm saying? And so if you can acknowledge the fact that you ignored red flags and you ready to get to you, then there will be other people for you.
That's the work. So the work, when you say the
work is going within, acknowledging, uprooting, allowing yourself to cry, allowing yourself to write it out, allowing yourself to write mad letters, but you don't mail them off, because it's all about release. And then allowing yourself to say, you know what, I want to get into meditation. I want to get into to breathing, so that I can breathe this stuff out and become one with the breath, because the breath of God is the presence that's in you. So how are you not one with that, right? So, right? So
there's help here.
It's about how you will be leading yourself to you. And I help you understand the language your soul is speaking to get to you. But you have to be open and willing to listen and to do the work. And it's not to say that, oh, I'm all that. No, it's not about being all that. I just know what I am.
It's funny because it seems like the general perception is that you need somebody else or someone else to help you, but not you. And what you're saying is, you're going to help me to help me.
Yes.
Right? It's like you have the power to help yourself. And sometimes you might need a guide. It might be a person guide. It might be a spirit guide. It might be, an ancestor guide. It might be, synchronicities, whatever it is. It's you helping you. And I think that's the hardest thing. Like, I think if you can get that, then you can make progress, because now you're like, oh, this is me.
Yeah. And it's not hard, because all you're doing is just allowing yourself to be real with you and what you want and what you don't want, and put more focus on what you do want, and healing what you don't want. And you get so in tune with that feeling of, oh my God, because you start feeling you. That's love. That's oh my God.
Yes.
So that's how you help somebody else help themselves.
Awesome. So we could talk forever, but we have like 1 minute left. So is there anything you want to let the audience know or encourage them with, Dr. Asada, before we are off the air here?
I just want to say, just be what you are, which is love. Allow yourself to feel more than you think. Think long, think wrong. So allow yourself to feel you, which is feeling the love. And if you don't know what that is, allow yourself to become one with your breath and be quiet. It's cool to chill by yourself. It's okay. And trust that all the greatness is after you find the silence. Get that peace, and you'll find you.
Thank you. You have been watching Temple of Divine, where we discover, celebrate, and explore the divine in you. Thank you for watching, and we'll look for you next Friday at 2 p.m. on Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world.